Good evening. Coming up in Mello TV Evening News, new candidate proposed for PNP stronghold of East Central St. Andrew. St. James double murder victims identified, and Ministry of Labor and Social Security Carl Samuda resigns from cabinet. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Andrew Holness held a press conference early this evening to address growing public outcry regarding the increase for salaries for parliamentarians. Prime Minister Holness says several committees have been established over the years to address this contentious issue.
Pay for ministers and members of parliament has always been a hot potato. Over the last 50 years, 4 committees, all headed by eminent private sector individuals, Leslie Ashenine in 1973, almost 50 years ago, Ronald Sasso in 1981, Douglas Fletcher in 1989, and Oliver Clark in 2003, laid out proposals for treating with parliamentary salaries. Now, in addition, there was a special parliamentary committee, I believe that was chaired by the then Minister of Finance, Omar Davies, in 2005. In each case, some of the recommendations were adopted, some were rejected outright, and others were just ignored. But right across the board, the fundamental changes that were recommended were never implemented. That's just the reality. So I do hear the calls about establishing another committee we have done it already. When I hear these suggestions being made, I wonder if people don't do research. It's been done already, and it has come back, and governments haven't implemented it. It's important that the country is assured that its leader symbolically and truthfully understands their concerns. As your leader, I do. Therefore, I have directed the Transformation Implementation Unit to remove the Prime Minister's compensation from the new salary scale. The Prime Minister's compensation will therefore remain at its previous levels. To be clear, no retroactive payments will apply to the Prime Minister's pay.
In a significant political development, former leader of the opposition and current member of parliament for East Central St. Andrew, Dr. Peter Phillips, has announced his intention to vacate his seat in the upcoming general election. Dr. Phillips handed over the party's political leadership of the constituency to Dennis Gordon, councillor of the Maxfield Division, in a ceremony at the Norman Manley High School on Saturday. In his remarks, Dr. Phillips shared the background of him serving East Central St. Andrew.
That God has blessed me. God has blessed me with the privilege of representing East Central St. Andrew, going on now 30 years. You know, sometimes God have a plan. Because my plan, if I am to admit it here, my plan about constituencies was not East Central St. Andrew. I was pursuing a constituency down in Manchester. And then Michael Manley and PJ Patterson come and say, you need to offer yourself for the post of General Secretary. So, as Comrade Harris Daly said, my view them time there when the party call, I say, here I am.
Opposition leader Mark Golding expressed confidence in Gordon's candidacy, emphasizing the party's determination to retain the seat.
We are not them and they are not us. We have a different vision for Jamaica. We have a different style of politics. We are an inclusive democratic movement that believes in putting people first. People power, that is the democracy that Dr. Phillips just spoke about. It's in our constitution, in the rights that our delegates have. As long as the constituency is recognized, meaning that they have done the political work to organize it, and they have functioning groups in the divisions that make up the constituency. So comrades, the road is not an easy road. Every day we make progress and we also slip a little bit. But I would say overall, when we look at the situation, we can see light at the end of the tunnel. We can see that the people are seeing the People's National Party again as an effective political movement. They want more from us. They want more unity. They want more fixity of purpose. They want more clarity of policy. And we can give them those things because we have it within us to give them. Comrades, I look forward to working with Dennis Gordon to deliver East Central St. Andrew. I look forward to South St. Andrew and Southwest St. Andrew and other constituencies working with Dennis Gordon, with the comrades of East Central, because we're not taking a thing for granted, but we're going to make sure that victory will be ours the next time round. Comrades, comrades, comrades!
The St. James Police have made progress in identifying the victims of a fatal shooting in downtown Montego Bay. The deceased individuals have been identified as Ramon McFarlane, a 31-year-old taxi operator from Somerton, and Leand Gooden, a 26-year-old resident of St. James. The incident occurred on Friday afternoon when Gooden was a passenger in McFarlane's Toyota Probox. At a busy intersection, they were targeted by armed assailants in another vehicle who opened fire, resulting in multiple gunshot wounds. Despite the state of public emergency in the area, the perpetrators managed to escape. Both victims were rushed to the Cornwall Regional Hospital, where McFarlane was pronounced dead and Gooden succumbed to injuries during treatment. The National Works Agency, the NWA, is reminding the public of guidelines of pedestrian crossings ahead of National Labor Day tomorrow, May 23. The NWA emphasized the importance of adhering to proper parameters when painting pedestrian crossings and other road markings to enhance pedestrian safety. Manager of Communication and Customer Services, Stephen Shaw, highlighted the need for approval and gazetting of new crossings, along with adherence to legal dimensions and signage requirements. These guidelines include specific measurements for markings, stop lines, and center lines. Mr. Shaw warns that failure to follow these guidelines can lead to dangerous locations and potential legal complications in the event of accidents. The public is encouraged to consult the NWA technical team for assistance and advice on road projects. Residents and fisher folk are complaining of discoloration and odor in the Rio Cobre in St. Catherine and are demanding transparency from the National Environment and Planning Agency, NEPA. Friends of Rio Cobre, led by President Kestonard Gordon, alerted authorities and conducted tests, revealing elevated pH levels and turbidity at the point where the underground streams meet the river. Despite their findings, NEPA initially dismissed claims of pollution. The group is demanding full disclosure of NEPA's own test results conducted on May 16 as efforts for transparency continue. The community awaits action for the protection of the Rio Cobre and its surrounding environment. The new salary hike for political leaders has attracted yet another protest, this time with one woman who eventually had 4 other women joining her. The protester expressed that she's speaking for persons who this latest increase under the public sector compensation review will impact but have no voice.
I'm here to peacefully protest on behalf of the people who cannot protest. Our government needs to be accountable to its people. We need to be able to speak and our voices be heard. We should not be pushed to the side or made to shut up. And our nurses and our teachers, our firefighters, our police, our civil servants, they also would like a livable raise, a livable wage. And I think that the government should hear us out and make the necessary changes because this is a democracy.
She went on to highlight that one area of discomfort is the alleged incentive requirement for an unnamed political leader to perform duties.
Between the amount, the 100, 200 and 250% increase, and the response when we felt it was exorbitant, I felt that I needed to be here so that my voice could be heard. I do believe that, they do deserve to be paid livable wages, But I feel that if they're struggling to make their rent or to pay their bills, they should let us as the people know, and then we can know if the increase is justified. The teachers and the police and the nurses, they're complaining that they're not able to live. And I think that that should be enough for them to see that they're okay. You know, they have what they need.
Sorry.
The recent salary increase for politicians has sparked various conversations from across the country. In the meantime, President of Jamaica's Association of Local Government Authorities, Winston Marage, expressed his belief that the substantial salary increase for councillors would enhance their ability to serve their divisions. Mr. Marage explained that previously, earning $145,000 per month, councillors found it challenging to meet the diverse needs of their communities, including funeral assistance and community activities. The new compensation restructuring has raised councillors' salaries from $1.6 million to $5 million annually. Mr. Marage reported that councillors and mayors across all parishes welcomed the increase. He criticized the opposition's objection to the salary hike for parliamentarians, labeling them as hypocritical. Mr. Marage argued that a rollback would require corresponding reductions in the salaries of permanent secretaries and chief executive officers to maintain balance. He emphasized the need for the public awareness about the civil servant salaries to address potential issues of insubordination. Minister of Labour and Social Security Carl Samuda has resigned from the cabinet. Mr. Samuda announced his departure over the weekend at the Labour Ministry's awards banquet, stating that he had already informed Prime Minister. While emphasizing his continued support for the government, Mr. Samuda explained that he had reached the end of his intended term. Speculation of a cabinet reshuffle has arisen as Prime Minister Andrew Holness recently made changes to the Senate composition. The Office of the Prime Minister has yet to provide details on a leadership change in the Labour Ministry. And those are the stories making the news this evening. Thank you for tuning in to Mello TV Evening News. I'm Nicole Hales. Stay safe and thanks for watching.